Suicide Squad is the new DC Comics movie, and a lot of people after Batman vs. Superman had hoping that this movie would be the redemption for that. And is it? Well, let me get to the plot synopsis first. Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis, is trying to assemble a task force, a suicide squad, if you will, of some pretty dangerous people who are exceptionally good at their certain skill set. She wants to assemble these people to form a team to take care of some pretty bad things that professional people could do, but they could die doing that. So to save those people, they send in these guys instead. And when an evil is unleashed upon Midway City, the Suicide Squad is assembled with the characters Deadshot, Harley Quinn, El Diablo, Katana, Captain Boomerang, Killer Croc, Slipknot, and they're all being led by Colonel Rick Flag. If you've been watching my videos lately, you probably would realize that I was extremely excited for this movie. One look at my iPhone wallpaper, and you could get the sense that I was super pumped for this film. I was especially looking forward to it after seeing Batman vs. Superman, because even though I thought that was good, but not amazing like I wanted it to be, Suicide Squad looked amazing. It looked like it was going in the right direction as far as what DC movies should be. The tone seemed perfect, and the marketing campaign was flat out brilliant, so I was super excited for this movie. So walking out of it, how did I feel? I was extremely let down by this movie. However, my flaws do not lie within the characters of this movie. The characters of this movie are the best part about it. The cast did an excellent job, not only portraying their characters, but bouncing off each other very well. They all have nice little moments together, and they're all really funny, which was another thing I really like. The humor is definitely there. The tone fit for this movie, and the humor blended in very well with these people. And I also really enjoyed Will Smith. He's a natural charisma machine. So casting him as Deadshot was literally perfect. He was funny, but he also had a likability to him, especially when they go into his backstory, because even though he is a bad person, he does have a backstory that makes you kind of feel for the guy, even though he is a hitman. You see, Independence Day resurgence, this is why you don't let people like Will Smith leave. Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn is the standout of the entire squad. She stole the show for me. She was absolutely brilliant as Harley Quinn. Very funny and also really hot. Margot Robbie is a very beautiful woman. That is moving on. And I was even surprised by some characters like El Diablo, where at first I was like, alright, he can shoot fire and stuff. Alright, that's pretty cool. But later on, when some things are revealed about his character, it just made me go, oh man, that is good character development right there. And speaking of surprises, Jai Courtney as Captain Boomerang. Now, as I've mentioned before, I'm not a big fan of Jai Courtney. Terminator Genesis, A Good Day to Die Hard, Divergent, Insurgent, I, Frankenstein. I don't really enjoy him as an actor. Jack Reacher, he was fine in that movie, but I haven't really been impressed by him until now. He was absolutely perfect as Captain Boomerang. Finally, a movie that proves to me that Jai Courtney can actually be a likable movie star. What do you know? Please don't do Terminator Genesis 2 and put him in that. Please don't do that. Don't do another crappy movie, Jai Courtney. You're on a roll. Just do something awesome, like Suicide Squad. I really enjoyed him as one of the comedic reliefs of this movie. This guy who really knows how to throw boomerangs well, but he's also a really drunk, angry Australian man. That was also really funny. And at first I thought, why would you need a guy who throws boomerangs well on a team like the Suicide Squad? But I kind of forgot about that because he is just really funny and likable. And Joel Kinnaman also proved to me that he can be a really good actor, because in other roles before, like RoboCop, I thought he was fine. I didn't really think he blew me away or anything like that. But in this movie, it finally proves to me that he can actually do something really good with his acting, and I really like the chemistry with him and Deadshot in particular, because Deadshot has some really good chemistry with Harley Quinn too, and he just works well with everyone basically. But Joel Kinnaman and Will Smith just had a really good thing going. Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis, was by far the most interesting character of this movie. Viola Davis is an actress I would not have expected to be in a movie like this, but she was, and she was great as Amanda Waller. I want to see her in more movies. If they decide to bring her back, I would like to see what else they do with her character, because I feel like she could be a significant part of the DC Expanded Universe. Speaking of the DC Expanded Universe, as we all know, I think no one was surprised by this, but Batman does show up for a bit, played by, of course, Ben Affleck, and it's a little tease towards the Justice League. Absolutely loved it. It was great seeing Ben Affleck back dressed up as Batman, because he was the best part of Batman vs. Superman. I can't wait to see more Ben Affleck as Batman. What he did in this movie was also really good. Just need a Ben Affleck directed Batman movie. Can we get that going? Please? please and thank yous very much. Now, a lot of people are wanting me to talk about this because it's a pretty big thing in this movie. Jared Leto as the Joker. There's been some controversy back when his first look was shown, but then in the trailers people were blown away, people kind of back and forth. So how did I feel about Jared Leto as the Joker? I felt like he did a really good job playing this guy because he's not trying to be Ledger, he's not trying to be Nicholson, he's his own thing, and I think it worked really well. It was something different, something new, and I think it worked out really well for this type of Joker. And I really hope to see more of him in the future of the DC Comics movies, because I would really like to see more of this guy. More on that comment later. And also the costume design for him was also really cool to look at, and his makeup was really well done. And speaking of makeup, yes, the tattoos on El Diablo looked really good, but by far, the best makeup in this movie is Killer Croc. He looked excellent, and also the guy who played him, his voice fit in so well with all the makeup. The voice just felt natural. It was so cool watching Killer Croc be on screen. He was so interesting because of his look, his voice, and he also has a good sense of humor to him because he's fairly quiet throughout the movie, but whenever he has something to say, it's usually pretty funny. And also the soundtrack and the score of this movie worked really well. Stephen Price did a really good job with the score, but the best part was the soundtrack because it has songs on there that usually I'm not a big fan of those types of musics. I listen to jazz mainly, Sinatra is my thing. But the music in this movie, I think it was worked in really well with the movie. The songs on there were actually pretty catchy to listen to, including that 21 Pilots song that I actually kind of enjoyed. And the action sequences were the most fun that I've had with the movie. That's when the adrenaline started pumping for me. I had the most fun with these characters taking on these rock monster thingamajigs that are running after them. That was when I was having the most fun with this film. Now let's shift into the cons. Now I'm going to start off small and work up to the big flaw that I had with this movie. One flaw I had, I didn't think two members of the Suicide Squad were fleshed out enough. There's one character where I thought, alright, you're doing a good job with them so far, using their backstory, but then that didn't really go anywhere. And then you have the other squad member who was literally just there to be worthless. I'm serious. As soon as you see the movie, you'll know what I mean too. This character was written in just to be worthless. The introduction of this character should hint at that as well. Totally worthless, did not need to be there whatsoever. Another flaw I had with this movie is that I mentioned earlier, I enjoyed Jared Leto as the Joker. I thought he did a really good job, and I also said that I would love to see more of him in the future. And I say that because he's barely in this movie, like 5 to 10 minutes tops of total screen time. And he is the one on my iPhone wallpaper. Clearly I'm looking forward to him the most. I couldn't wait. And he was good for when he was there, but it didn't feel like he made a significant impact on the plot. I think he should have been there a lot more, and Jared Leto recently came out and said that a lot of his Joker scenes were actually cut from the film, and I have no idea why they did that, because I think more Joker would have actually benefited this movie. Another flaw I had with this movie is that even though I really like the makeup of this movie, the other visual aspect, the CGI, I was kind of let down by it. Ranged from alright to really bad. Not horrible, just really bad. One of the villainous characters, Incubus, shows up, and he is CGI the entire time. And I gotta be honest, it looked like something ripped straight out of Gods of Egypt. Not as bad as Gods of Egypt, but very, very similar. And speaking of villainous characters, the main villain, apparently not that many people know who the main villain is, so I will let out a spoiler alert real quick. I'm going to mention who the villain is because I kind of pieced it together prior. Here we go. The villain of this movie is Enchantress, played by Cara Delevingne, and at first they set her up really well. The character June Moon falls down a hole, and she finds the Enchantress stuff, and she gets possessed by Enchantress. They show really quick what she can do. They have the really cool hand transformation that we've seen from that Comic-Con trailer, and at first I was like, alright, this is pretty cool what you're doing here. June Moon and Rick Flag have a relationship going on. There's going to be probably some dramatic tension there, right? And then the remainder of the movie, she basically just does weird witch dances, and that's all she really does for the rest of the movie, while also shooting a big blue light into the sky. I was really disappointed by that because I think Enchantress could have been a really threatening villain. I think she could have really done some damage with the squad, and at some point in the movie it seems like she's about to do it, but then they kind of just skip over it like, no, we're not doing that. But I can excuse maybe a bad villain. Heck, the MCU has some bad villains like Malekith, Ronan the Accuser. Does anyone remember who Whiplash was? I can possibly overlook the lack of Joker in this movie. Heck, I can maybe overlook how you didn't flesh out those 2 squad members. Heck, it's a big character roster. That must have been hard to do. You probably did the best you could. And I've been told that I'm a CGI nitpicker, so maybe it's just me who's not seeing the CGI as that great. I can overlook those flaws. I could say this is just a really fun movie if it weren't for the mess that is the plot of this movie. The flow of events of this movie, how each scene connected with each other for a flow in this movie, I felt was poorly edited, very choppy editing when it comes to connecting scenes. And I don't mean editing in the sense of just cut for me talking to someone, then cut to that person speaking, then back to me and back to them. Not like that kind of editing or action scene editing. I mean the connection of the scenes, how the movie scenes connected with each other, I felt was extremely choppy. You can definitely feel like there's probably tons of deleted scenes that they cut, and that's been confirmed to me because they did cut out a bunch of stuff with the Joker, and they did some reshoots of this movie, and you can definitely tell when one reshoot starts to take place. The Harley Quinn elevator scene felt completely out of place, especially with the way it ended. The first 20 to 30 minutes of this movie, though entertaining, was a big information dump. It was pretty much just Amanda Waller talking to these 2 guys at a dinner table going, alright, here's the members of the Suicide Squad. We're going to particularly focus on Deadshot and Harley Quinn because these people are what the audience, I mean you guys, are going to care the most for, because we need to know what we're dealing with when assembling this squad. I'm going to try to convince you that making this squad is a good idea, even though I'm really just saying exposition for the audience to know who these characters are. And it's not that the backstories were bad, it's just how they were presented that I wasn't a big fan of. It was bad enough how messy the plot was at first and how choppy the editing was, but then we get to the last 30 minutes, the big final fight of this movie. No spoilers, obviously, but that was the big downfall for me. You have something being brought to the Suicide Squad's attention, maybe it's going to do some damage, but no, they kind of forget about that. A character makes a certain revelation and does something that I felt really didn't impact the movie at all. In fact, the other squad members are just kind of like, alright, and then they just move on, and there's one character who seems to be dead, like, oh, you got like vines sticking through you, you're upside down, I think you're dead. Then this character shows up like, oh, you're okay, walking around like nothing happened. Even though the plot was a mess, I was having fun with at least the first hour and 30 minutes, but then the last 30 minutes takes place and it just really nosedived. As I mentioned, there is fun to be had with this movie. The action sequences are fun, the characters are fun together, the actors are not the problem. It's the mess that is this plot. It's the choppy editing that they did. I have no idea what they were thinking as far as the editing goes, because when I was watching it, it felt like the flow of events was really messed up. I don't understand why they cut out so many scenes of the Joker where it barely felt like he was needed in this movie. I don't know why they didn't do a good job with this really cool villain that is Enchantress. Overall, guys, there is fun to be had with this movie, and if you did enjoy this movie, that's great, more power to you. But for me, as someone who was hyping this movie a lot, hoping this would be the DC film where I can go, you know what, Man of Steel was good and Batman vs. Superman was alright, but this is the movie. This is the DC movie that we've been waiting for. I can't even really say that now. I was really let down by Suicide Squad, and I'm gonna give it a C+. Unfortunately, I wanted to love this movie. I saw the Rotten Tomatoes score and I was like, you know what, Jason Bourne didn't have some great reviews. Maybe it's gonna be like that. I wanted to love this movie, and I just didn't. But if you've seen Suicide Squad, leave in the comments below of what you thought of it. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher. Now, if you excuse me, I'm going to have to change my iPhone wallpaper to Rogue One. Because, I don't know. See you guys next time.